it. So
See, I definitely wanted to clear that up for you. You know who you are out there. You know, all men. Yeah, we don't think all men cheat. Majority. No, I'm just, I'm just joking. So now, you know, a lot of times people say that they experience love, but I don't really think they understand the meaning of love. When you're in your 11-year relationship, do you think it was more of love, or do you think you were more addicted to being, you know, addicted to that person?
it was addiction,
Addiction.
definitely.
Yeah. And that's what I'm noticing now. Are you aware of that now, looking back, that it was more of addiction than real
Yes,
love?
definitely.
Oh, okay. So moving forward, are you in a relationship now?
Yes, that character is also in the book as well.
So does he know that he's,
Yes, he
he
does.
does,
Yeah.
really? And how does he feel about being in the book?
Well, he doesn't mind. I mean, we've known each other since I was 17, so 20 years. And he's seen a lot of the stuff that happened in the book go on because in between time we were friends at certain points. So he's really proud of the book and that I was able to share my story with the public like I have because it's a real intimate book. I share a lot of the experiences that I've been through. Like I went to jail. I, got assaulted. I had an abortion. So yeah, I
Oh, so
just
you're telling all.
right.
So you're using real life stories and you're using your name as well?
Yes.
You are, you know, I'm thinking this is a fiction. So this is,
This is a real life book, and
wow.
it is categorized as fiction.
Okay.
Only because nobody knows who Kennedy DeVoe is.
Right,
And
right.
so, I can't put out autobiography about me, and people are like, who is that? So I put it into the fiction genre.
Well, I definitely want to say that I think that you're a very beautiful girl,
Oh,
and I, you know,
thank you.
I don't. This is the first time that I met you. I don't know you, but on the outside looking in, that you're very beautiful, and you don't have to settle for anything. And I know moving forward, you know, from me to you, I understand that you deserve the best.
Oh, thank
and,
you.
What is it that you would like other young girls growing up to understand about being in relationships that's not good for you, that's not healthy?
Well, I think that the most important thing is to listen to people when they're trying to tell you that the relationship is unhealthy. Because in one of the chapters, I talk about moving out with a guy. And my mom told me not to move out with him. And I went against, what she said, and it turned out to be a very bad situation. So I think it's most important that we younger girls listen to what their parents are saying because we've been there, we've done that, we've seen it all, heard it all. So when they're saying, he's a player, because when you've been through so much, you can see something in people sometimes. So if your mom is saying he's a player, or he's no good, or he looks like he's going to take advantage of you, you may want to listen, because it could stop you from learning a costly mistake.
And that's so true too, because I tell a woman, just because a man is dating you, just because he takes you out, just because he spends quality time, doesn't mean you're in a relationship.
Right.
If you have not walked down the aisle, he's not putting a ring on the finger, you are still single.
Right.
And another thing that you said, women, we don't listen. We could be in a relationship for 6 months with someone and think that we're committed. And then when you ask the important question, well, did he say that you're in a committed relationship? Well, no, but we're just seeing each other. I'm like, no, you need to have that conversation. Are we committed?
Right, exactly.
Because usually, I believe, and I don't know how you feel, but if a man doesn't say that we're committed, you're not. He has to tell you, ladies, that I don't want you to see anyone else. If he doesn't tell you that he doesn't want you to see anyone else, then don't assume you're it.
Right.
Enjoy it for what it is and listen. I definitely. So you said you went to jail.
Yes.
Really? So since you don't mind talking about it.
It's in the book.
Okay, well, you're right. Well, what was that about?
Yeah, it was assault with a deadly weapon.
Really? So now what did he do, Kennedy? What did he do?
I had just had a termination for pregnancy, and he refused to bring me back my antibiotics. And when I went to go get them from his house, he was entertaining someone else.
Did you hear that? See this, and what did you assault him with?
You have to read the book.
Okay. So I guess she's not going to give all the information. But, I mean, that's basically, a lot of people don't understand, that, and then they want to call you crazy.
Right.
But, the guy is not thinking about, what you had to go through.
Right.
They're not thinking about the emotional pain and the hurt that you had to go through. And then when you went through your procedure
Right.
by yourself, and he wouldn't bring you what you needed, and you went to go check it out for yourself, and you see that he's yeah, I could understand.
Yeah.
I'd probably be right there with you. I definitely, understand that.
That's why I tell people, I can understand the show Snap
Oh,
because men do things that can trigger something in you sometimes that you just can't turn off before it's too late.
And that's why, I really appreciate men that like to take their time. Because, you may find out that there's not a connection. You may find out that, that the two can only be just friends.
Right.
And that's really important because sometimes women jump in the sack too quickly, get emotionally involved, and then when that guy says, well, I don't feel the same way, then you want to kill him.
So that's why it's important to ask those questions up front.
Exactly. So what would you tell women out there so they don't experience, other than just listen? Because a lot of our young girls are in these so-called relationships, just having sex and not protecting themselves. What would be your advice to young girls other than just listen? What about loving self first?
Definitely that. That's in the book too, but you have to read it. But it's knowing your value as a woman. You have to know that before you can be of any value to anybody, including yourself.
Now, have you ever had anyone try to make you lower your standards?
All the time.
And they say, oh, well, you shouldn't be like, oh, you'll never get, married if you, your standards are too high. You need to lower your standards. And, that's the thing that I hate. So a lot of people always ask me, why are you single? And the first thing that I say is because it's really hard. You meet guys that either are using the bait and switch tactic.
Right. Right.
They're really sweet up in the beginning, and they try to get your attention, and then once they feel they have your attention, then they switch around,
Right.
and all of a sudden they're not calling you, they're not communicating. And then for people that are unaware of the bait and switch, they'll start, wondering, why are you not,
Right.
calling me? And then, oh, I love you, I know I care. So the only thing that the insecure, unaware woman understands is that this man is the only one that has an interest.
Right.
But he has manipulated, her
Right.
mind. So what's your next project?
My next project, I'm actually working on, I have 27,000 words in so far, but it is a book about my friendships, so my relationships with my girlfriends.
So, by you having a lot of relationships with, females, how difficult is it to maintain friendships with, women?
It can be very difficult because a lot of women tend to get jealous of one another when we should be supporting one another instead. And I think that sometimes when people are not understanding the growth of the friendship, it tends to fall apart.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had a woman sleep with your boyfriend?
Yes,
Wow.
I have.
So did you kill her?
I wanted to.
Well, that's why they say you're not supposed to bring your man around any of your friends and try to,
Well, he was my ex-boyfriend at the time.
Oh, okay.
And plus I thought he was a little sugary. So
okay. Now, see, there's a lot of that going around. Let me ask you a question about trust. How important, from your experience, since you have been hurt in numerous relationships, how do you trust now?
I still trust people. I give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong.
Okay, now how does that work with you on your emotional level? Because I have this saying, I don't give the benefit of the doubt. I benefit the doubt. It's like, no, I don't give the benefit of the doubt. I doubt the benefit. That's what I'm saying.
But when you have that mind frame, it makes you kind of just, let me get the words right. It makes you feel like you can't trust people, which is what you're basically saying. But if you can't trust people, then there's really no reason to deal with that particular person because there's no trust there.